something related to cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin ETF. What more do you need to see to be confident that a spot Bitcoin ETF is actually ready for prime time? And is the potential for market manipulation still the largest holdup to spot ETF approval?
I think I'm going to have to defer on that one.
Fair enough.
You could ask ChatGPT.
I will do that. Maybe this evening. I will, after the club board meeting, I'll type that prompt in and see what happens.
والله بس بخور فرما ورا هاتوا ابشر دي بوز ولا ده بيبقى شوي سريع مش سريع ده كاكا ده بابكا.
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Are you bored out of your mind yet? Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. I know you are. Fear and greed sitting at 50, which means the market is completely neutral right now, which means really nobody knows what is going on. You got half the people a little bit bullish, half the people a little bit bearish. For the most part, nobody knows what the heck is going on, right? We have been unfortunately putting in lower lows and lower highs. Now, you could argue that this could be a bit of a bull flag because that does happen after these big moves, but we have something that is a little bit concerning. Every single time we hit that 30K, we get rejected, we get rejected, we get rejected. And on top of that, if you do believe that the S&P and Bitcoin are still in fact correlated, then if you were watching the channel over on Debate Crypto, which if you guys didn't get the notification, you got to turn on the notification bell. Also turn on the posts so you can see the posts, as well as follow me on Twitter so that you can get these updates. But we were discussing that this was only 2 days out of this upwards trend on the S&P, right? So you did have this trend right here where it was getting rejected, but then you could see right here, we actually stayed above it for a decent amount of time. In fact, if I switch this over to the weekly, you could see that we stayed above it for 2 weeks. And now currently we have fallen back in. So that's creating a lot of fear as to what could potentially happen for Bitcoin, considering that the S&P is down only about 6%, 7% from its top, whereas Bitcoin is still down over 50%. So if the S&P starts to dump and they are correlated, is this going to be bad for Bitcoin? That is a big topic that we're going to discuss today, but I do want to offer a flip side because there are some similarities that we're seeing in the charts right now, these patterns that just continue to emerge, especially between the relationship between the dollar and Bitcoin, but also we have an indicator that could be giving us a bit of a clue. This is something that we've seen before. It's not a buy signal or a sell signal, but it does show us what is happening with the momentum right now. And it does seem like there is no momentum, but is there something that we're overlooking? That's what we're going to discuss today. I do want to talk about all that because I do believe that there is a perfect storm that is brewing, but it is not going to be easy, guys, because trust me, I hate to break it to you, but there is some more bad news coming out from the US. A lot of really just taking steps backwards. I really am not happy to report some of these things later on in this video. We will have to discuss that, unfortunately. Also, if anyone is thinking about or holding or buying Worldcoin, you may want to stick around to the end of this video. Maybe if after you watch the clip, you may have a bit of a change of heart on that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We do have these levels, very specific. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. If you're still here, pat yourself on the back. Congratulations, because a lot of people have just straight up and gone. They've up and left the space. They're bored right now, right? We know how it goes. It's like a ghost town, literally, over on Twitter. So right here, I just want to get back to this move really quick. Again, we were in this falling wedge pattern. We did break out of it. We got above, but we got rejected. So we got rejected here, right? And we also got support here. So in a weird way, if you kind of actually look at it now, as this pattern is evolving, if we get rid of this falling wedge, it looks a lot more now like a bull flag. And we do know that bull flags, and keep in mind, nothing is 100%. Even bullish patterns still have percentages, chances that they break to the opposite direction. But right now, this is kind of showing us that we may just have been looking at a little bit of a fake out up here, fake outs here, a couple fake outs down here. But if you look at the bulk of it, if you look at the real solid, chunk of this, the majority of it is forming, in fact, a bull flag. The only thing that's scary is that we did fall out of we had just a very nice upwards parallel trend, right? We kept bouncing from bottom to top, and this actually was a very easy pattern to trade. Once we fell out here, what we did was we retested that Terra Luna crash where we had support, resistance, resistance, support, and I did say there was a potential chance that maybe we do have a fake out, maybe we do put in this short-term, mini little double top, which is kind of what it's looking like on this lower move, and maybe we do have to retest that 25,000 $100 to $300 level. But the only thing to point out about that is that once you hit that level, you really don't want to go any lower, right? But again, you have your day traders, like you want to trade the hourly, you want to trade the daily, maybe you want to trade over the weeks or whatever. And then if you want to look at what could be potentially happening over the next few months into the next year, and like Tony points out, monthly vortex indicator has triggered a buy signal. Now, in all fairness, it doesn't really trigger buy signals per se. Really what it shows you is continuation of moves. So if we're already in an uptrend and then you get the signal, it's telling you that the likelihood of the trend continuing is higher than it is lower. So back here, well, this is way back. I don't even know if you can take this back here, but you can see right here, we were in an uptrend. This is way back in 2012. We got the signal. We continued on the uptrend. We got it right here. And that was technically a little bit, you can see that was a little uptrend. It was a little pump right there. We got the signal. We continued to the upside. This one was quite short-lived. We got this one. Then we only really had upside for another month. And then we just went sideways. But then we did have that COVID crash. So that's a little bit of an outlier. And we just got that signal again. So what is this saying? Well, it's telling me that in the short term, we may have some turmoil. We may have to go down and retest some of those levels. And it's probably going to freak a lot of people out. They might even jump ship, maybe start selling because they're having fear or something like that. But realistically, I think that the longer term is still showing us that if you have that patience, we have all these moving averages, which we know we're still above the 200. And whenever you have them in consecutive order, 50, 100, 200, when you have them in that order, actually flip that order higher to lower, as we do right here, where we have the 200, the 100, and the 50 in that exact order. That is a perfect storm for a massive rally to the upside. And we don't have that right now. But what we do have is the 50 looking like at some point on the end of this year, it's going to create a double golden cross. That's what assuming we don't just dump and then, all of a sudden the 100 just starts, tanking. But really what it looks like is it's setting us up for that exact moment, which could be happening sometime at the end of this year, which is why I said personally, I still think on the record, we are going to see a higher Bitcoin price end of year than we do right now. But that doesn't mean that in the short term, we don't have a bit of an issue. Kevin Svensson points out, we are seeing history repeat with the DXY. So if the DXY has some sideways or even maybe potentially downwards movement, then we will probably see that move to the upside. But, again, if the DXY continues to the upside, which I don't really see where it's going to get that momentum from personally, but who knows, then you will have that issue. Again, retest on the 200 would put us right here at around potentially the 27 area. And yeah, could we be due for a retest? Sure. We did have this point right here. We never really tested the downwards trend for the breakout, so I'm always happy for that confirmation again. And, just showing you the similarities. If you have a look again at the weekly, you're seeing right here, a lot of similarities, right? Look at the guppy. Just look at that right here. Look at that. Look at it with your eyes, right? So we're having this neutral. We have the darker blue bands flashing multiple times down here, moving into the red. And then if we come over here, what are we having? We're having the darker blue flashing multiple times, the red crossing into the neutral like we did back there. And then once those bands flip, once we get the flip on these EMAs, then we go into the green and the light blue. The light blue usually, I know I'm explaining it because you don't need to know every single, there's tons of EMAs in here. Basically just look at the colors. They tell you what's happening. And we haven't actually seen that flash yet. And on the daily, we're actually seeing it flip back into neutral, which the last few times that it did that, for example, here you go, look at this. So it went from green to neutral. What did it do? Well, price fell from about 21 all the way down to 19.5, and then boom, it sprung back up, but we did have that dip. Same thing here, right? We fell out right here when we got that on 27, we came all the way down to 24.7, and then we sprung back up again. So we may be looking for another situation, where we do something like that and then continue to the upside, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at. But like Michael Vanderpot pointed out, If you actually just have a look at the total market cap, it's looking exactly like the Wall Street cheat sheet, right? I mean, look at that and look at that. They're basically the same exact thing, give or take, not exactly the same, but are you guys seeing the similarity? So this disbelief right here, that ends up becoming this disbelief down here, and exponentially, you know what that does. And again, not saying that history has to repeat exactly, but Bitcoin really has had this very long-standing pattern of having one red year and 3 green years. So we had 3 green years, 2019, 2020, 2021, and then in 2022, we fell 65%. So that was our red year. So the question is, are we now setting ourselves up for 3 of these green years? Well, regardless of what you think, you can get in that Western mentality. I get it. We're in the West, we have 9% inflation at the top, 9.5%, whatever. Well, don't forget what's happening global in places like Turkey, Argentina, Venezuela. I mean, just watch this video and you'll understand why, even if we may have, this crazy doom and gloom that they talk about in the West, understand how much worse that could potentially be for these other people and how Bitcoin would still be a better hedge compared to what they're dealing with.
This is hyperinflation at its finest. This is 40,000 Argentina pesos right here. Back in 2018, this was worth $2,000 American. Now it's worth about $75 American. You see, back in 2018, this 20 peso note was equivalent to $1 American. Now you need 520 just to equal that $1. This is all because of government spending, a poor economy, and the government printing large amounts of capital.
But before we get into the doom and gloom, because I don't want everything just to be negative all the time, Dennis Porter points out we have the perfect storm. Okay, inevitably it's coming. They're not going to stop this. They're not going to close Pandora's box. Sure, it might suck in the short term. We might have some turmoil, might be a little bit rough over in the US, but we have a BlackRock ETF inbound. SEC is losing battles for pro-Bitcoin presidential candidates. Multiple states protecting mining. KPMG saying Bitcoin is ESG. DC legislation moving. Sailor buying more Bitcoin. If you haven't bought any Bitcoin yet, now might be the time. And again, is now the perfect time to buy Bitcoin? Well, it's up over 100% since the beginning of the year. So, I mean, in that aspect, maybe not. But if you consider where Bitcoin is going, if you believe Bitcoin is hitting 100,000, 200,000, a million, whatever the crazy number is, then does it really matter if you buy at 30 or you buy at 20? I mean, sure, it might matter in the short term, but in the long term, it's not going to make that much of an exponential difference. We also have all these different Ethereum ETFs now that are being listed. They mostly look like they are futures, but I mean, even, the Ethereum ETFs are coming into the race, but this is the problem. This is the problem. We still have, unfortunately, Gary Gensler asking this question about what you're going to need to get ready for a Bitcoin ETF, and just listen to this answer that he gives them.
Something related to cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin ETF. What more do you need to see to be confident that a spot Bitcoin ETF is actually ready for prime time? And is the potential for market manipulation still the largest holdup to spot ETF approval?
Well, Mark, I recognize the question. It's a good question, but understanding that as chair of a regulatory agency and having various applications in front of us and not prejudging them, and also recognizing that there is ongoing litigation about these very matters, I think I'm going to have to defer on that one. But good try.
Fair enough.
You could ask ChatGPT.
I will do that. Maybe this evening. I will, after the club board meeting, I'll type that prompt in and see what happens.
Again, ignoring, skating around. This is funny? He thinks that's cute? Oh, ChatGPT. And everybody's chuckling. That's funny? That's funny to you? Guys, this guy needs to get voted out. He needs to get, I don't know what they need to do, but this agency is the most rogue, random, non-helpful to financial investors that I've ever seen. And now they're saying that they don't care even to focus so much on crypto. He's saying that they're more concerned about auditing artificial intelligence. He says AI is the most transformative technology of this generation and poses significant challenges and opportunities for markets and regulators. And he said, first there is the auditing of artificial intelligence. We can come to cryptocurrencies later. So they're not even putting cryptocurrencies at the top of their list. It's just going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, look, Ben Simpson, he got a notice from Commerce Bank saying all of their business accounts will be frozen within 30 days if we buy more than $100,000 in crypto. A business account that's been doing crypto payments for 3.5 years, how does this actually help stop crypto scams? Blanket rules don't help anyone. Disgraceful. Again, the banks are scared. Wall Street is scared. Gensler works for the banks. You know who else works for the banks? Oh, well, we'll get to her in a minute. Elizabeth Warren. But anyway, you know, Revolut, look at this. Revolut is looking to start suspending for U.S. customers, only U.S. customers. Everyone else is fine, but Revolut, if you're in the U.S., September 3rd, you're not going to be able to purchase, and by October 3rd, you are not going to be able to do anything. You're going to have to get all your crypto off of the Revolut app, right? So, you know, and it's scary because you also have things like MetaMask blocking Hex and SEC, or the SEC going after this. So MetaMask, which is supposed to be decentralized, Uniswap, which is supposed to be decentralized, you know, you got to be careful because it's like the traditional finance, right? That's all crooked and backwards and shady. And then you have these guys claiming to be decentralized, but they're not decentralized. So just be careful where you keep your crypto. Again, if you do want to, you know, put your crypto on a hardware wallet, I think if you have an old Ledger Nano S, you're fine. If you want to upgrade though, Engrave is pretty good. Only downside is they are a little bit limited on the amount of altcoins that they have, but I mean, realistically, I don't know. I mean, a lot of the altcoins that they don't have are kind of crap anyway. Let's be real, and most of them are down a lot, and they're very speculative, and you probably shouldn't be buying them. But you know, again, people are fighting back. You do have Twitter, X, you know, saying that they're going to launch a trading app inside of X at some point, and that's going to possibly involve crypto. So that is a pretty awesome thing, right? But again, Elizabeth Warren going to bat for the IRS. There's a 50 billion crypto tax loophole. By the way, just to say, Google, her net salary, I think she makes like $170,000 a year, but yet she has a net worth of like over 12 million, and that's only what we know. So like, is anybody auditing her? I'm just saying. But anyway, so you know, they're going, yeah, Bernie Sanders and all these guys saying that they sent a letter to the IRS that they need new cryptocurrency guidance for crypto taxes. Like, who is even, come on. I mean, who is pushing that narrative? But anyway, guys, if you are looking to invest in some of these altcoins like Worldcoin, which has been falling, which, I mean, I'm not going to tell you guys to short Worldcoin, but 1% available, 99% coming out in the next 15 years, a market cap so high that would put it at coin number 7. And, oh yeah, the CEO also explains that they could and plan on doing price suppression.
That the foundation wanted to achieve here is that essentially short-term liquidity provisioning. So you have like a spike of interest and you want to make sure that the token price doesn't spike to like $10 or something, then crashes down again, because then you have like a lot of unhappy people that lost money, which is something that we've seen historically a lot with a lot of projects. So the main, and I think it actually is pretty cool what the kind of the econ team of the foundation came up with. Can we have this like linear increase in terms of supply they can emit, exactly for that reason? That like if you have like a huge spike in interest, you damp that and you make sure that the price doesn't spike. Essentially, you have a dampening in price movement in that range. But of course, it can go above $3 and it can go below $2. Like those two things can easily happen. It's just the fact that like huge market movement, just because like you have like a lot of interest within launch day, for example, is much, much harder.
And I just want to end on the fact that this is something we haven't talked about in a while, but it does appear that the judge has ruled to dismiss the class action lawsuit against Tether. So they are the largest stablecoin in the world, and they have reported that the lawsuit filed against it has been dismissed by the court. So is this bullish? Is this bearish? I don't really know. Could be neutral. But I guess it's not bearish, I guess, because it's kind of saying that they're dismissing it. So that kind of might clear up the fear around the Tether, you know, debacle for a little bit, right? Fiasco. So as I said, guys, you know, I'm probably not going to see much happen over the weekend. I think a lot's going to depend on what happens Monday. I think a lot of people's eyes are specifically looking at the S&P, although Bitcoin has sort of pulled itself away from the S&P. Granted, Bitcoin is down more than the S&P, but Bitcoin also was able to spring back more percentage-wise from the bottom. So you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. We know that once Bitcoin gets going, it really, really gets going. But that's it for me, guys. If you do want to follow me on all my socials, make sure that you check out Crypto Zombie over on Twitter. I'm over on Instagram, all these other spots as well. And make sure you turn on the bell notifications, and make sure you turn on the post notifications so that even if you're on YouTube, you will get that update. So that's it for me. Thank you for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. Have a beautiful and wonderful weekend. I'll keep you updated with everything I'm seeing. Until next time, stay crypto. If you guys do want to learn how to trade, now's the time to learn. Watch these tutorials right here, right now. And of course, peace out.